Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me once again. You are always most welcome. Well, today we're in for a treat, especially me, because we've got another classic Matchbox. We've had Matchbox March, bit of Matchbox May, Matchbox June, it's Matchbox July. They just keep on coming. Anyway, we've had a number of you have come forward with Matchbox kits. But this one I'm kicking off with for July because not only has this been sent by our good friend Mr. John Fogo from the south of England, but he's actually insisted that I keep it. So it's a gift basically, so that's incredibly kind of you, John, thanks very much. And it's an interesting one because it's one I've seen many times when I was younger. For whatever reason I didn't buy it. I think it's because the Ju188 from Matchbox. The Ju188 wasn't in the Battle of Britain. I was very kind of obsessed with the Battle of Britain, if I'm honest, when I was a youngster. Still am. No, not a youngster, I mean I'm still obsessed with the Battle of Britain. Oh, okay, stop laughing, very funny. Anyway, so I knew it wasn't in the Battle of Britain, and so I never quite got as excited as I probably should have done with it being another one of these classics from Matchbox. But there we go. He has now corrected this for me, the fact that I was foolish enough not to buy it. So let's take a look. Now this was basically a variant, if you like, of the Ju188, wasn't it? Where they had this great big greenhouse cockpit developed, and it's got these sort of slightly lengthened wings. The wings are very strange in shape as well, I think. And it's actually got some great artwork here from our great friend Roy Huxley. Let's have a look at this artwork in some detail. So basically this is out on patrol looking for these convoys that were shuttling between the UK, America, then the UK, and then Russia. And as you can probably see here, it actually says a Grouper 33 Junkers 188 reconnaissance aircraft working with the North Sea U-boat fleets picks up an allied, I can't read it, I have to bring it in, picks up an allied convoy bound for Russia. Well, there you go, that's what I was saying, isn't it? And what a lovely bit of artwork that is, you know, very evocative again. These very clever proportions in the way that he's done the artwork, very much with the box in mind, very cleverly done. It just shows everything it needs to show, and it does it so beautifully, doesn't it? The lighting is right, everything's right. Absolutely fantastic. You can see there's a bit of a sunrise, probably, or a sunset over in the distance. It's excellent. Anyway, let's have a look. So this is PK-109. I've got to say, it's in pretty good condition, isn't it? You probably saw already, it's from a shop called Child's Play. 60p, so that dates it quite early, I think. That dates it for about, well, I wouldn't say that, it is 60s, yeah. I'd say that's no later than late 70s, 79, 80. Any later, I think it would have been a bit more. So, and it's a 74 issue, as you can see if I very closely zoom you in here. There you go, 74 Lesney. But let's have a look on the side. I am just a bit perplexed. It's one of these Matchbox kits where, once again, they seem to have chosen some very, very strange colours for the plastic. I like the three-colour plastic idea, to be honest. I know some don't, but the problem is it's when they choose really silly colours, and I think they may have been guilty of that here. I mean, why the... It's got this sort of, I think there's like a dark grey, and then there's a dog dirt brown, and there's a light dog dirt brown. If you see what I mean. Now why? You know, why didn't they go for greys and greens and black? That would have been three better colours in my opinion, which you've seen on some of their other kits. But anyway, that's the colours they chose. Other side, of course, it's the typical box where we get the Huxley 125 and the Westland Lynx and the Buccaneer. I had all three of those, and I bet most of you did too. Anyway, let's look at the rear. I've got some interesting artwork again, all nicely coloured, and it shows the Group of 33, the Luftwaffe General Command from Denmark, which is the one that's depicted on the cover. Quite a nice camo scheme there. Yeah, that's quite nicely done, isn't it? It's almost like tiger stripes. And then you've got an operational training unit, obviously based for Group 33, which I presume is also in Denmark. It doesn't actually say so, does it? But a slightly more conventional scheme with a sort of dark green and the pale Luftwaffe blue, sky blue, whatever they call it, underneath. You know the one. So, again, many thanks to John for providing this and generously donating it to my stash. Except that, of course, my Matchbox originals like this, it's not a stash in the true sense because it certainly won't get built. It's a collector's item and it's just nice to share it with other people like we're doing today. So it's in great shape really, I think. Box is really pretty good on this one. So let's have a look. Exciting. So I always like it, it's a Matchbox I haven't seen before, it's great. And we've got a stand, oh the beautiful ubiquitous Matchbox stand. Some clear parts. And the rest comes out. And we've got the lovely proper original orange range, so orange instructions. What have we got here then? Let's have a little nosy. The ubiquitous Ju188 was perhaps the most was the most modified aircraft in World War II and was in production virtually throughout the war. Progressive developments evolved the 188 variant with an increased span, redesigned forward fuselage, etc. The aircraft entered production in 1941 and powered by the BMW 801G2 radial engines and achieved 315 miles per hour. It's not too bad, is it? The 188 was used as a bomber, torpedo bomber, reconnaissance, night fighter and even high altitude bomber with a top speed of 429. That's rapid. That's quite impressive, isn't it? The model depicted is the F1 reconnaissance aircraft. Okay, and it gives you, I mean, this is what we want, isn't it? You know, we talk about it again and again, I know. But why can't we just have this today? That's probably enough information. It's just about right. You've got some technical data here. Very nice presentation. I never quite understood why they did this sort of like a silhouette style of the artwork. But it's different and it's quite eye-catching, isn't it? I like it, to be honest. I like it. Put those over there out of the way and we'll have a little look at these instructions first. I've got to say everything's on the sprue as well. It's like new, really. Just a little crease and a tear in the box, apart from that, it's like new. Something that's not like new, of course, will be the decals, because they're always not like new, especially when it's a 74 model. But I've seen worse in some of my other kits and other ones people have sent me as well. Here we go. Got a Junkers 188. There again, it's always the backing paper that was the weak point on these. I don't think the decals were weak, but you see how it's got a bit blotchy and stained and just sort of absorbs moisture too easily, much more easily than other manufacturers did, and it just goes downhill very rapidly. But at least you do get the the swastikas, which is the realistic markings, which you don't get today, unfortunately, for reasons we've already discussed. Not that we want to promote that emblem or its values at all, but at the end of the day, I've said it again, I'm going to say it again, making scale models should be about realism and recreating historical subjects, not about imposing our current views, beliefs and what is acceptable today. That is messing about with history. Today's morality and politics and everything else is fine, but don't mess about with the past, because that is being ridiculous. And if you mess about with the past and erase things, then future generations will not know anything about the evils of the Nazi Empire, for example, here, and they will not understand the dangers of having something like that happen again. And that's one of the reasons why they should be depicted exactly as they were. You cannot, erase history because you don't like it. It happened. However disgusting and appalling these things were, you want to know about them and therefore you avoid them in the future. That's my take anyway. I know a lot of you agree with me because several of you have told me so. Anyway, we'll not get bogged down with that. Let's have a look at what we have here. Look at this, beautiful. So we've got the typical paint guide on the back. And as you can see, we've got all the small parts in the paint guide. It's such a shame they dropped this later on, didn't they, when they went, the ownership changed in the early 80s. It was so simple, it was so, effective and clear. And, you painted up your little exhausts and things, bit of silver, your black propellers, engine intakes, etc. Spinners, interior of the cockpit, and then your pilot and the seat and his yoke control. And then, of course, we have the wonderful stand instructions, how to put it together, and what you will ultimately get with the repositionability of the model. Always shows a Mark 9 Spitfire, which is a normal thing, and they even give a plug. The other items that are in the range currently, and this is 74, so this is the first iteration of this for sure, and that's what they used to do. They used to have this list of the other models in the range. Now look at that range of orange, which is it's like the Series 2 equivalent to Airfix. Not many, are there? There's not many there. You've got your 188 Westland and the 125. Apart from that, you've just got the Dornier Sky Saver, the Buccaneer, the Walrus, Helldiver, Beaufighter, the Jag, and the A7D Corsair. So it's quite a small range. Of course, it developed a lot more later. I mean, it ended up about 3-4 times the size, the range. You know, they added all sorts, didn't they? Even the Messerschmitt 110 hasn't come out at that point, because I think that came out in '76. So there's a lot of models still to come out. So many, in fact. It just shows they came into the market basically with 10. And they're dipping their toe in the market, and of course they all sold like hotcakes. Even though, you know, I mean, look at the actual subject matter, some quite interesting and unusual ones, like the Dornier Sky Servant, which is not a popular or particularly well-known subject with youngsters in the UK in the mid-70s, you know. So that was quite a brave decision. Anyway, people loved them, and we'll show you why. So let's have a look. Let's zoom you in and you can see the instructions. So obviously we've got a navigator, stroke observer in the reconnaissance version, and we're going to build up their cockpit area. Nice and simple. He's got a yoke, and the guy at the back obviously operates the radio and the navigation equipment and camera equipment if they're using cameras. As he search for the convoys, bringing those two things in together with the back sort of wall, which I presume is where the radio is. And then you got your two halves of the cockpit, and then you're bringing in. I must admit, I don't care for this as a design. Look at the canopy. It's a glasshouse canopy, but they've actually got it split down the middle in two halves. Ooh, imagine when we were young. Come on, I bet some of you that have built this, because I haven't, obviously. I bet some of you have got glue all over that joint. Before we had, you know, PVA glues and things like that. I bet you've got glue smeared running all over the place, because I bet I would have done, for sure. It's quite a complicated setup, isn't it, the shape? I mean, you've got to get those two together, then you've got to get this in. I mean, I'm sure the fit will be fantastic, because it always is. But it's tricky, that, and that's calling for some care, which most of us at that age didn't have, frankly. No, I certainly didn't. Anyway, tailplanes are going on with the elevators at the back, then you've got your engines going in with the spinning props, and your spinner. You've got sort of separate nacelles that go on the front. They look very rudimentary, don't they? It looks like a tube, this nacelle here, doesn't it? Huh. And then you've got the wings, and the wings are in these outboard and inboard sections, so it's quite a few joins here, so I can imagine you might end up with a gap or two. And then you're bringing in those engines, obviously. Then you've got your main gear, and then that's it really. You're just bringing in the gear and the doors and popping them in underneath, complete with the tail wheel. Got a retracting tail wheel on this aircraft. Okay. And you can see there you've got 26 kits. Sorry, look at the far right here. There are 26 kits at the top right there, the purple range. It's quite a big range. And then you've got just 10 kits on the armour and 10 kits in the orange range. So it's as though they were just not confident to, you know, go for a very big range for the orange, or indeed the armour, to see. They wanted to see how they sold, and they sold very well, of course. We all bought lots and lots of them, didn't we? And there's your main paint guide. Well, I would say those instructions are well up to the standard of Matchbox's finest work, albeit a very simple concept, but very well executed, so very nice. So let's put that aside with those decals. Probably need to be, I think what we'll do, a little top tip for you here, folks. Got these older kits, what you're going to get yourself to prevent them getting damp in the decals, get yourself some desiccant gel packs. So we've got these absorb moisture, of course. You can ignore the branding because there's lots of them available. You can buy them, you know, from all over the place, from China, from UK, anywhere. But they are brilliant. Small pack like that, stick that in with your kit and it will preserve your instructions, and it will stop you from having problems with, you know, this issue of the decals and you know, they're not going to absorb moisture in the same way, because this will be very eagerly taking up all the moisture itself. Very, very useful. You can get them in even small packs as well, and the sizes vary. You can get huge packs this big. You know. So I'd urge you to go on eBay or somewhere and get yourself some of those. They're well worth it. So I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to put that in with it actually. So that will help. Top tip, especially if you're buying older kits, you know, and they've still got fairly decent decals. If it's a Matchbox, for example, they won't stay decent that long, so get yourself some of that. Alright, without further ado, let's look at this wonderful stand. One of my hobby horse subjects, isn't it? But look, I mean, it's so simple and beautifully engineered, isn't it? What's not to like about this, really? It's just fantastic, isn't it? Matchbox engraved there, proudly, and it's got the Lesney name over on the other side. And of course, you end up with the decal for the Ju188, or whatever the kit is, it has a decal that goes here. Or indeed, if you wanted to, you can put it over the Lesney. That's probably what I'd do. I'd put it over the Lesney, because, again, that engraving is inside. So if you want to put the sticker across the top of it, you can and make it disappear. Very good idea, that. Why on earth can't Airfix just get round? It doesn't have to be clear, you know, it doesn't have to be clear. That's just a bonus, I think, but why can't we have that today? I don't understand it. Every excuse they trot out makes no sense at all. And we talked about it, obviously, with the... I know I'm revisiting old subjects here, but people comment and 90% plus agree with me. Probably more like 99% in truth of this subject. The dioramas on the armour, it's not that difficult, is it? It isn't that difficult. If you have it at the concept at the beginning of a new kit, new tool, why can't we have it? Why can't Airfix do that? Nobody can convince me that if that costs another £1.25 or even £1.50 that people will walk away from the kit because of that price. No, it would have to be a lot more expensive to put people off, I think, because people, if it's done well, and the Matchbox ones were done well, people love them. They just love them. So I really think that, you know, some of these manufacturers, they're just missing a trick. If I was manufacturing small scale armour today, I'm thinking of Hornby here. You know, what is stopping you? What is the difficulty with it? Yeah, it's straightforward, I think. Obviously you've got stands, you know, you probably don't want to do it in clear parts because it means separate production probably. But there's still no reason why you can't have a stand as part of on the Sprues, you know. And we've seen it with some of these other older kits, like the frog kits that I showed you. More on that later, but I'm going off the subject. Let's have a look at this glasshouse clear parts, which does worry me a little bit on this kit. However, I've never built it, so if anybody has built it, please shout up. I bet some of you have. Because obviously you've got this split glass house and it's got like a dome that has a gun. In fact, it has two guns. I've just realised it has a gun. Is that right? Just looking at the artwork, can you see here? It looks like there's a gun in the middle of the dome, the bubble dome that we've got here. One gun sticks out of there and another gun sticks out at the back of the sort of glass house. So, got another one underneath. So it says you've got three, okay. Sorry, let's just go back to this artwork again. Can you see there's a gun here, underneath, gun here, gun here. So it's pretty well armed, actually. But the only problem with those guns is, I'm just thinking who operates them. Is it a crew of two? Did it say? I didn't check that. It shows a crew of two, doesn't it? So it must be a crew of two. I don't know how this gun is supposed to be shooting at enemy incoming fighters, and then he's got to move to the back, and then he's got to move underneath. It's going to be pretty dizzy, isn't it, if he's trying to shoot with all three guns. Unless one of them's automatic. I do wonder if the bottom one isn't an automatic cannon, because they were into that, weren't they? Check what it says about crew. Doesn't say. I'm pretty sure it's just a crew of two, to be honest. I don't think there's more than two in there, but anyway, we'll not digress. I think that just be careful if you're going to build one of these. So I've just seen a bit of the plastic off one of the Sprues. It's just a bit of the sprue itself. Yeah, be careful with this, because I think that this join you're going to end up with this split glass house, you've got to join those two halves together. Could be tricky. Could be quite tricky. But typically it's fairly nice. This one's a little bit yellow, just in the middle section. This one only. oddly. But it's nice, isn't it? I think that would look really cool. If you can get that masked up properly and paint the frames, that would look really fantastic. So that is good. Then we've got the main sprues. Green screen alert, sorry, there you go. Here we go, so the main sprues. So this is the sprues with the outer wings and the tail planes. Sorry, outer wings and the inboard wing section as well. And this is the top, yeah, the top of the wing. Chosen a very unpleasant colour of plastic in my opinion. Looks like something the dog has left behind on the sidewalk or local pavement, which is not very nice. Who on earth thought that was a good colour for this? I mean, if it was a North African kit like I think they used the same colour plastic on the ME109E, didn't they? Which makes more sense because it was used in North Africa. But I don't see the logic in that colour here, actually, because that just doesn't make any sense. But we won't dwell on that. So let's have a closer look at these parts. This is this rather oddly shaped wingtip. So as you were looking at it, this is the leading edge, the straight bit, leading edge, and this is the trailing edge. And it has this sort of scalloped wingtip, doesn't it? It scallops back. See it? Very curious. But it's typical Matchbox. It's softly moulded, fairly wide panel lines, but zero flash. Got 2 machine guns here. Is there another one somewhere? I'm still intrigued about these guns, I've got to say. I'm sure there's another gun somewhere. Perhaps they don't depict it. Interesting. It's very interesting. I'm going to go back to the instructions. I want to satisfy myself exactly what's gone on there. Let's have a little double check. Let's just have a look. I wasn't paying attention myself properly. Yeah, it's just on the top. Doesn't show any guns sticking out the bottom, but I'm sure it hasn't. And look how close they are. So I just don't understand how one guy is going to operate 2 guns when they are staggered at about, in reality they would be about 3-4 feet apart. Very odd. It's almost like you've got to choose which gun you're going to use before you, as the enemy start attacking, you've got to make your choice, haven't you? Odd. Very curious. A strange German design, if ever I saw one. It reminds me of the Malicious Fit 410 with those automatic cannons it had. They weren't very successful either, to be honest. Anyway, back to this. Then in the middle you've got your wheels and tyres here, of course. There we are. You've got your engine nacelles, you've got your yoke over here. And it's just a typical Matchbox. Good solid sprue. Parts seem to be all fairly secure on it. Very nice. Does it have a date on it? No, it doesn't date it there, but I'm sure it's 74. So that's that one. Then you've got the opposite version, which is the underside of the wings, which is in this sort of bluey grey. Kind of an odd colour, but better than the one we've just seen in terms of colour. PK-109, made in England it says. Yep, of course. And it does actually say 74 on the, I'll come to the fuselage in a minute, but it does say 74, so it's true. So that was the first year of the orange range basically. And we've got here spinners on the right, it's where my hand is. Spinners for the prop here. And you've got your underside, and again very softly moulded panel lines. Bit trenchy, but they're there, you know, and I bet it goes together without any problems. You've got your pilot and your gunner here, who look suspiciously alike. Can't see the difference in their attire or their position. It was a shame that they didn't, you know, make them in a pose for the gunner to be using the gun, but again, you won't see inside the cockpit. It's going to be hard to see anything anyway. Got our gear legs here, obviously gear doors. And then you've got the cockpit floor there. So that's kind of it for that one. And then that just leaves, and this is actually got a part off the sprue, so we'll tackle that one first. It's the prop. One of the 2 props I should say has come off the sprue. So that's there, and the rest of it is here. And this is where I say it's stamped 1974 on the inside. You've got a double tail that's got 2 sides, as you can see. And yeah, the panel lining on the rudder there with the trim tabs, that looks quite well done really. A bit sharper than the rest. And you've got your engine intakes, your radial engines there, BMW engines. That's the back wall for the cockpit, which you can see, the radio and stuff, and wiring, instrumentation, radar perhaps. It's all there, isn't it? Nice actually. Well, again, it's apart from the dog dirty coloured plastic. Why didn't they go for green? I think they should have gone for green on the other one. This one's probably just about acceptable, but this one, I think that should have been a dark green, really, you know. That would have made a lot more sense for the 3, not to have this almost like it's desert colours. Very odd. But I'm not moaning. I think it's a lovely kit actually. Interesting that it's got raised panel lines here. Just zoom me back in. It's got raised panel lines, hasn't it, on the actual fuselage sides. Interestingly. Yeah, and they're quite finely done as well, in fairness. You can feel them, but they're quite fine. They're not terrible. Yeah, it's quite nice. It's a pity we didn't get a window underneath, which I think the real aircraft has. But it's a typical Matchbox orange range, really. It's, in summary, it's beautifully clean moulding. There's no flash. A little bit soft and a little bit trenchy, the panel lines, but it'll go together like a dream. I'm absolutely confident of that. Quite a nice kit, I've got to be honest. I'm very, very thankful to John Fogo for sending that to me and basically donating it, if you will. Just so you know, talking of donations, I've actually, the Ghost of Kiev, the MiG-29, that I'm actually donating that completely. I'm selling it on eBay, so I'll go and have a look on eBay. If you send me a message, I'll send you a link. Because I just thought it'd be a good idea. It seemed right to put that forward, and all of it's going, the proceeds go to the Disasters Emergency Committee for Ukraine. So I thought that was quite a worthy thing to do. So I'm hoping that people don't, you know, I hope to get plenty of bids on that. It'd be really nice, and think of it as a donation, and then you get a kit as a bonus, you know. Anyway, coming back to this one, Junkers Ju188. It's got no issues that are not common to all of the Matchboxes, you know, and the issues are very few and far between, really. I would say, where are we? What do you think? I think it's at least 9, isn't it? 9 out of 10. 9.5 would probably be a bit generous, but bear in mind that we're talking about something that was 60p, and you've got to think of it, you know. There's no point in giving these ratings out of 10 and then people say, oh well, I wouldn't have given it that because blah blah blah. You know, today it would be 10 out of 10 because such and such will make it, but it isn't today. You can only rate this for when it was actually made, so the rating has to take into account how much it cost, what the competition was, how good was it in its day. It has to be in its day, you know. You can't compare it to modern technology that isn't reasonable or fair. So I think 9 out of 10. I think that's about right, really. Yeah, I say it's a bit of a shame that there wasn't one or two little things they could have done with it, but it'll be a nice kit. If you paint that up nicely and you mask up that canopy and not get too much glue on it, it'll be a lovely model when you're finished. So, thank you very much to John Fogo. It's 9 out of 10 from me. Thank you very much to him for donating that. That's very kind of him indeed. Really do appreciate that one, John. Thanks very much. It will be safely put away in my stash and catalogued, and it will go into the archive like the one at the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark, where it'll be looked after by top men. Anyway, thanks very much. Hope you'll give me 10 out of 10 with a thumbs up. Smash that like button. Give it a good crowning. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you have done, and you're already a regular viewer, don't forget to make sure you've dinged the notification bell. Now, you may have done that in the past already, but there's been this thing where eBay seemed to have reset. I keep saying eBay. YouTube seemed to have reset everything. I don't really understand why, but quite a lot of people, including myself, have found that the notification alerts are not actually coming, so it's worth checking. So just go in again and check when you look on my channel that you have got notifications definitely on. Anyway, thank you very much. We'll be coming back some more interesting and classic kits. We've got another Matchbox and some other interesting items from the dawns of the modelling past, dawn of time. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. Hope you'll all take care of yourselves. Thanks a lot, and bye for now.